Hello there, good people. Patricia here. And today we're going to talk about taking stock of your self care time. Like, what does your me time really look like? And before we get into it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, to subscribe, to help push this channel out to other folks who might want to join in and take a listen. And please remember to share as well because there are so many there's so many things, so many issues, and we need to know that there are other folks out there who get and understand what we're talking about sometimes because it really does help. Which reminds me back to the topic at hand, which is, oh my gosh, like how many times do you start off so well with really saying, I'm going to honor my self care time? And by self care time, I'm not talking about just going to get your nails done or getting your monthly massage or whatever. All of that is fine, but it's also sometimes superficial and taken for granted because those can be more less self care as far as in depth and more maintenance. That's the word I'm looking for, right? So I'm looking for things, I'm talking about things beyond maintenance. I'm talking about taking a break from the chaos of the day, the chaos of the days, the weeks, the months. There's been a lot going on in the world. And really and truly, it's so easy to get overwhelmed even before now, right? Just life just gets to you sometimes. Let's be honest. And so, what do you do when that comes to be? And sometimes people are able to, um, they're able to reach a conclusion of recognizing I need to do something different without something major happening. And by major, I mean a job loss, a health crisis, for yourself or family member. Like those are normally the triggers for recognizing, oh my gosh, I'm not taking care of myself and I have to now. And so, and that's been me. Been there a couple of times over, burned out a couple of times over, and real, just to getting to a point where it was like, no, this has to happen because otherwise you face, irreparable harm to your health. And it's not worth it. None of it's worth it, right? None of it's worth it. And so, that said, while also still looking to establish and continue a successful business, to show up with my community and to show up in my home for my family, all of that, and not but and always remembering that the time to take care of myself, um, in all the ways, spiritually, emotionally, physically, like all the things, mentally, like those matter. And you may not be able to do all the things at once. I doubt. And by at once, I mean like rarely is there one thing that's going to address all of those at once, right? Normally, it can cover a couple. For example, exercising is a great way to work off, you know, mental stress, to, get your body in shape, things like that. Or maybe it's taking some time away. Sometimes it's just simple things that don't have to be big and complicated. They don't have to be expensive. That's the other reason why people think, oh, I can't afford, I need this time and I can't afford. Well, there's a difference between wanting to do something very extravagant or much higher level as a self care experience and doing something that can happen right now today. For example, on my list of things, I'm going to need some days in a hotel with not being responsible for anybody else. Yeah, I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but it's going to need to happen because I need some downtime that's away from being responsible for other things and other people, period. And I know for me, because of who I am and how I am. I've worked a lot, and but I am still a recovering perfectionist. I am still, working through things. It's a journey. Like I always say, it's a journey, folks. And so as a result, I know that for me to really be able to come down from something means I have to get away from my own home, friends, family, whatever, where those things aren't popping up at me all the time, right? Now, can that happen on a lesser level? Sure. I've done that over the years, calling them my quote CEO days. And sometimes that may mean focusing in on a particular project that I want to work on, or it could mean I need a brain break. And so I will call another good friend, business colleague, whatever of mine, and we're like, hey, let's roll. And so we go, have lunch in a different city. We go traipsing around to different little shops of whatever thing we have in common, whatever that might be, right? So there are varying levels to it. And even as simply of, okay, what are the things in with that I can still do if it that does, doesn't cost a lot of money. Well, it spends a little money because I love my plants. But my plants, engaging with plant care again is like re-engaging with that hobby has meant so much for me from a emotional, spiritual, and physical standpoint. Like, you want to talk about keeping my blood pressure low when something crazy goes down. I'm like, let me go take care of my plants. Right. And that shifted some during the winter time because I couldn't do as much outside. And so I really started focusing on my plants inside. And so I've got a nice little collection working inside. And that's what I've been dealing with a lot. I know this past week, and I wasn't, the perfectionist part of me wanted to try and get it all done at once, right? I bought a bunch of plants, and they needed to be repotted and taken care of and all of that. And then I realized I'm like, there's no rush to this. So I broke it down to focus on it a little bit every day, which is exactly what needed to happen because this week ended up being, oh my God, completely unexpectedly out of left field, multiple crazy things happening. And while I was having to deal with that, I'm like, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pot this plant, right? To allow myself to recenter, having that, getting back into my reading. I think I've shared a couple of times in some other videos about that being another part. And again, that's something that I got uh, off off track with my exercise routine. And all of that came about because I got sick. I was pretty sick for a couple of weeks, and getting back on track, I get caught. I'm like, oh, I got to get caught up on certain things. But life had kept moving, right? And so, things come to a head. And I realize I'm like, I haven't been doing this and this and this. It's time to get back on track. The weather's changing. I will be able to get back outside again here soon as all the nasty allergy things disappear and give me a break. But it's recognizing that, having that recognition of when you've gone off track and need to come back and to slip back into it. So another one of my self-care things that I recognize, I did some work. So just to be clear, I did the work. I've done the work with a coach who works on with folks who have been burnt out and all of that, with some high needs and all of that. And so I've done that work and continue to do so, and recognizing what are those smaller pieces of things that I can do on the daily. And so recognizing what those are for me and incorporating them into my life over the course of a day or a week has been what's been so helpful to me in more recent years. And guess what? Life happens. You will get off task. I definitely did over the, some weeks, like I said, because I was ill. And recognizing, oh no, when crazy starts happening, I need to get back on track, because what I'm not going to let is crazy take me off task from continuing with my own health journey, with my own goals, with work and business and all of that, right? So, one of those things, I love candles, I love scents, I love bubble baths. Those are all these seemingly mundane things, but they mean something to me because they force me to get present. And that's really what we're talking about, to get present, to not be stressing about what happened yesterday and to not be stressing about what's going to happen tomorrow, but to be present here right now today, even if it's only for 30 minutes to an hour. But when you start stacking what those things are for you, you end up with a really solid little routine that can work. So it doesn't have to be big, huge moments or big, huge experiences. It's recognizing, hey, let me take stock of what I need to do for me right now in this moment, and what can it look like over the next few days, and to stack something new over the course of several days to try out to see what works, and then build that. And I'm going to say routine, but I'm not talking about a tight routine, because I'm a rebel about that, right? I'm not that person who likes to do. But having, the list of options, and I'm like, well, these are the three things I'm going to do today, right? Or these are the three things I need to make sure that I check in on this week, whatever it might be, in order to make sure that you give time back to yourself. Because guess what we do? We give so much of our time and our energy to other people and not ourselves. And that's when things start to fall apart. Because when you internalize that self care is selfish, it's not good. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. It's not good for the people in your life closest to you. Because if you're not taking care of you, ultimately, you're not going to be able to help and take care of them either. So at some point, you have to recognize that you got to take care of yourself first. That good old adage about what the flight attendants always tell you: in case of an emergency, put your own air mask on first. If you don't put your own on first, guess what? You're not going to be able to help someone beside you, right? And so that is very much true for each one of us in our own lives today, right now. And so I encourage you to go grab, I love a good journal. Go grab your journal, go grab a pen and a piece of paper, no excuses, and write down some of the things that are really like wearing you out right now, that you're worried or concerned about. And then write down what are some things that you do that help you to understand that maybe those things aren't as important, that they're not as pressing, that help you get centered. If there's a hobby, when I work with people one on one in coaching, I one of the first things we talk about is what hobby they're going to engage in or re-engage in or find to do if they're not doing. Because most of the time, those folks that I'm working with, particularly when they're women who have high profile jobs, stressful jobs, they have gotten to a point they are not engaging in things for themselves for fun. They are not. Everything has to have a purpose, and that's when things go awry. So, guess what? Everything doesn't have to have a quote defined purpose external to you. It can be just about you. Just about you. Sometimes it could be like me. I love the routine, the practice of making myself a big fat cup of coffee in the morning, you know, uh, getting a little journaling in, doing a little reading before I jump into all the other. And I've gotten away from that, and I've got to get back to it, right? That's a part of the things that have helped keep me centered and to actually make me more productive when the time comes for the things that I want to get done. Productivity, however, is not the goal. Let me say that again. Productivity is not the goal. That is a lie. Success is not defined solely by how productive you are, because at some point in time, you are never going to be able to be productive enough for someone else. It's just going to happen. You only have so many, minutes and hours in a day, and they get spread thin, and you're only one person. So you have to start making choices. And so the question becomes, what are your priorities based on the choices of things that come up in front of you, and how you can achieve those priorities successfully while other things are not going to be. They're just not. It's a reality. And I'm saying this all ease and flippantly now. Trust you me, I've not always been that way. It has taken a moment or two for me to get to that. And I still have moments where I have to remind myself of that. But it's a practice. And that's why I always say it's a journey. You can't get to these things without living through experiences. So whether you are 25, 45, 55 or more, it doesn't matter. It's a journey. Identify where you are in the journey, where the things that you still need to learn. And I will say, absolutely, the younger you are, the easier it can be for you to recognize it now and to make these practices a part of your experience, your life experience now. Because when you get older, it's just going to get harder. You're going to have more responsibilities. You're going to have more people pulling at you, put more people pulling at your time, all of that. And trust you me, anybody that I've worked with will tell you, oh my God, I wish I had started doing some of this stuff sooner. Because carving that out creates guilt and shame and feelings of like, oh, I'm being so selfish. None of which are true, right? But when you've given so much of yourself away, it can feel weird to take it back for you. And I am advocating, take it back. Take back your time, take back your energy, take back some of that capacity and give it to you so that you can become more strengthened, more empowered from the inside out. Okay, there we are. Love it. Hope this has been, helpful for someone out there. And I invite you to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and to share for sure. Share it, because I really believe in the importance of reminding people, especially women, that self care is not selfish, and it is so important to engage in high quality self care practices for yourself now rather than when you have to later, right? Don't let it get to a crisis situation where you have to do it. All right. That's all I have for you today. Remember, celebrating you is a power move. I encourage you to go celebrate one thing about yourself today, and let me hear about it in the comments. All right. Take care. Have a great day.